Hello and welcome. I would love if you are there and feel comfortable turning your video on, just so we can see who's in the space. And if you're in an area where that's not possible, that's all good. Hello, hello, welcome. Geneva, I see Deepa, I see Laura, beautiful. So my name is Amy Osborne, and I am program administrator for graduate yoga studies. That means that I oversee and manage all aspects of the program, including recruitment, so admitting our new classes. So if you have questions along the way, or you're not sure about the curriculum or how it fits in with your own goals, I am one that you can be reaching out to, answering questions as you go throughout the application process. Dr. Chappell, who is the founder of the program and one of the faculty, will likely be popping in. We are hosting our in-person Elements of Yoga Day and preparing for Reverend Lawson at 3 p.m. So he is busy running about for that, but maybe joining us as well. If not, I can always give you his email if you have questions for him. A little bit about me, and then I want to hear about each of you. I am an alumna of cohort 2. I graduated from the Masters of Arts and Yoga Studies program in 2016. I did the residential 2-year program. At that point, there was no low residency program or online program. And I wrote my thesis on trauma-informed mindfulness. And upon graduation, I went on to host some teacher trainings. I'm telling our students now, be sure to teach once you graduate, because we remain students forever, but it just helps keep the material fresh and alive in your life. I also owned a wellness studio for just about 4 years that closed at the beginning of COVID. And was grateful about a year ahead of that to be given the opportunity to come back to Los Angeles, back to LMU, to serve in this role as program administrator, so that I can help welcome in the new students each year. So we are, or will be, reviewing applications for cohort 10, if you can believe it, first double-digit cohort in the room right now, starting in January. So you can feel free to get working on your applications. I would love if we had a nice pile of completed applications in January so that we could start that admissions process. We will be reviewing applications on a rolling basis through the spring semester and potentially early summer. So do not worry on timeline at this point. You're way ahead of the game, but it is on a rolling basis until the cohort is at capacity, which is around 20 to 25, depending. So Dr. Chappell just joined, so I'll have him introduce himself, and then I'd like to hear from each of you.
Hello, I don't usually look this dressed up, but it's been so fun to be out in the world and to be with real clothes on. So my name is Chris Chappell, and I established the Master of Arts in Yoga Studies back in 2013, building on certificates that we began to offer here in 2012. To give a little bit of background about, first, just a little bit about myself, but about the curriculum, is that I took up yoga as a very young person, as a teenager, for a variety of, let's say, physical and psychic emotional maladies that part of growing up, but also yoga was really not, it was such an important part of the world sort of coming together in a way that opened so many doors. And when I was first semester college student, I met a woman from India called Garani Anjali Inti, who had just established a yoga center in Amityville, New York on Long Island. And I transferred university from Buffalo to Stony Brook to really become part of that community, and spent 12 years in really a very rigorous training, daily yoga practice, asana, pranayama, and yama and niyama, and dharana, dhyana, as well as weekly silence and fasting. And simultaneously did an undergraduate degree in religious studies and comparative literature with a focus on Sanskrit, which I had begun my very first semester of university, and then went from there straight into Fordham University's PhD in history of religions, continued with my Sanskrit, and I've really never looked back. So my first book, reflecting my own, like, who am I, what am I doing, is called Karma and Creativity, and it has to do with human agency, which is what I think we all grapple with as humans in our 20s. My second book on ethics, nonviolence to animals, earth, and self in Asian traditions. Then my third book, which is about religious pluralism in my 40s, that's a comparative study of yoga as expressed in a variety of Hindu, Buddhist, and Jain modalities. Then returning to my roots in my 50s, publishing a book really with the Yoga Sutra front and center, with an annotated translation of the text. And then now that I'm in my 60s, I've published a book called Living Landscapes, Meditations on the Elements in Hindu, Buddhist, and Jain Yogas. So it's been and continues to be a very full life. It's been really an honor to be of service to so many different people from various yoga communities. And the way that we designed the curriculum is really, I'm going to say, linguistic, philosophical, and physiological. We give you all the raw material to understand if you have adapted or adopted as your own a particular religious path. But we focus primarily on Sankhya, Ishvara Krishna, and Patanjali. And these folks, above all else, were really the proto-psychotherapists and philosophers. And what we're wanting at core is for people to understand the radical importance of that first yoga precept, which is nonviolence. Hence, this afternoon's address by Reverend James Lawson, who really brought nonviolence to the American consciousness in the 1950s, changed our lives for the better. And also for people to get that long view that comes with the philosophy, the theology, if you will, the psychology of what it means to remain unruffled in the midst of change. And this, articulated by Patanjali, comes with a language of Purusha Prakriti, seer and seen. And we want you to know all that. And then there's so much beyond that. There's Shaivism, there's Vaishnavism, there's Buddhism, there's Jainism. And we explore really a little bit of each and every one of those. So at core, we want at least 2, if not 3 semesters of Sanskrit language. Words shape our world, and expanding our capacity with language expands our capacity with the world. And yoga language is primarily to be found in the Sanskrit language. Second, we want intimacy with physiology and anatomy, know how the body works, and continue to work with how your body works. So that occupies, I'd say, about 3 semesters. And if you opt for the yoga therapy concentration, more so. Then for a good solid 5 or 6 courses, you'll be learning about philosophy, psychology, spirituality from multi-faith traditions. And yoga has been resourced out of Buddhist tradition, Jain tradition, Vaishnava tradition, Shaiva tradition, so many different pathways and has been received in Islamic traditions, has been received in Jewish traditions, into various Christian expressions, and we're setting the course for you to be able to explore this over the course of an entire lifetime. And believe me, I've been at this since my social studies course when I was 13, 14 years old in ninth grade, where we did world cultures. And, I'm still learning and still moving forward. So our 4 options are as follows: face-to-face, move to LA, or show up if you're already in LA. 2 years. Second is to come to LA for 2 weeks in August, rejoin the group the following July for 3 weeks or so, and then go back and do 2 courses a semester like we're learning now. And we've been doing this since day 1, 2013. We've been live streaming, archiving, interacting via the computer. So when COVID happened, we just took it in stride. So that's a 3-year program, straight yoga studies. If your interest is primarily in yoga therapy, we have a couple of different tracks. One, the one that I think is the best one, is to finish your 3 semesters of Sanskrit, your total comprehensive understanding of the field of yoga studies, and then stay on for another year. If you're an international student, this will get you another year, and then hopefully you get another internship. And then we've had many students actually sponsor for green cards through the school skills that they have garnered in the yoga studies programs here. So that certificate is an additional 3 courses, which includes Yoga and the Health Science 2, a foundations course in the delivery of yoga therapy, and then a practicum in yoga therapy with your chosen certificate in the yoga therapy wheelhouse of your elective certificate focus. Now, along the way, so that both of those can be done currently also in online modality. And the first program will qualify you to become a 500-hour certified, provided you already have a 200-hour certification with Yoga Alliance. The yoga therapy offers a pathway either just to have the university certificate or concentration, or to do a little bit of extra work to be recognized by the International Association of Yoga Therapists. Now, I want to talk just briefly about the certificates, then find out who you all are, and we will do a round robin of your backgrounds, and then we'll be open to questions. So as I mentioned, back in 2002, on the heels of a 5-year in my home study of the Yoga Sutra, we ended the week just before September 11th, 2001. And as we as a nation and we as individuals were grappling with this newfound reality, we saw the need to allow that piece of yoga to speak forth, particularly that piece of yoga that emphasizes nonviolence. And I had gone to the administration earlier, because for these, every 3rd Wednesday night for 5 years, we took that long to go through the Yoga Sutra from diverse communities, followers of Amaji, followers of Chidvilasananda, Guru Mai, followers of the Vedanta Society, of Yogananda, of Swami Lakshman Ju, my own guru. So we had so many different pathways, and we just found this commonality with studying Patanjali. So I'd gone to the university and said, let's have a degree program. And they said, no, no, no. And then finally they said yes to certificates. And we started these certificates. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people opted for either yoga philosophy, yoga therapy, which evolved into 1, 2, 3, and 4, yoga, mindfulness, and social change, yoga ed, yoga and the healing sciences. And all of these continue to be offered. And we ask, sort of as your elective, we require that everybody do one of these generally 100-hour certificates. And this allows a little bit of specialization, a little bit of broadening of one's reach out into the community, depending upon your own desires and proclivities. So you'll need to do one of those. You need to do all those other courses. It's all up on the website. We have a robust YouTube channel so that you can see some of our lectures and conferences that we've offered in the past. We have 5 full-time permanent faculty at LMU who support this. Myself, Chris Chappell, Professor Tracy T. Meyer, Professor Narinjan Khalsa, Professor Christopher Miller, and Professor Lori Rubenstein Fazio. So lots of diversity of support, and really a wonderful community of fellow learners and practitioners within the yoga tradition. So if we could, I'd like, oh, I saw you earlier this morning, Laura Shraddha Paul Sell. So do you want to come scoot up with me here so that I don't think we can really share a chair, but okay, if you don't mind standing.
Yeah,
and if you could, I'll reach and get my water. Okay, so we're both front and center here. So Paula, tell us where you are, who you are. I mean, Laura.
Hello. So my name is Laura.
Okay, but we can't quite hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
We need to up this.
Yeah, Laura,
Let's
just
see.
make sure I'm not sure if you're connected to audio, and if not, you're welcome to throw in the chat maybe where you are and a sentence or two about what brings you here.
Can you hear me now? Oh
We can
no.
hear. I can hear you, Laura.
Oh, Lane can hear.
Yeah, let's see.
Okay, we got you.
Oh, good.
Yes, user error.
So my name is Laura, and I also go by Shraddha. So I actually, in the grand scheme of things, am very new to yoga. I only started practicing about 7 years ago. And then in 2018, I went to the Kula Kamala ashram in Pennsylvania.
Oh.
Do you know of it? Yeah, and that's where I got my 200-hour training. And one of the blessings of 2020, and there were many blessings, was that the 300-hour training that normally is offered at Kula Kamala was put online. So I was able to continue on with them, even though I live here in Orange County. So I don't live too far from Los Angeles. So I'll be graduating with my 500-hour in November, so just next month. And I feel really, really called to come to your program. I want to become a yoga therapist. In working with Swamini Shraddhananda at the Kula Kamala ashram, she is a yoga therapist as well. And just the idea of being able to sit with people and breathe with people and support them through illness and pain, it just really calls to me. And then my husband and I long-term are hoping to create some kind of integrative health center where he can do therapy and I could practice yoga therapy. And so I just feel really called to the program. And since I only live 40 minutes away, I feel it would be accessible to do the face-to-face program. So.
Wonderful. And if you ever get stuck in traffic, you can just pull it up on your phone.
It's been known to happen that way for certain. I'm just going to put my email here, so feel free to shoot me a note. I ask that everybody attends an info session before we do one-on-ones, but since you're here, now that you might have more specific questions along the way, feel free to reach out. We can schedule time.
Great. So Deepa.
Namaste.
Namaste.
I am Deepa. So I also live close to LMU now. I'm in LA, Woodland Hills area.
Mhm.
So yeah, I came to US 5 years ago. I just followed my husband for his job, but I had been practicing yoga since 12 years. And I learned in the Bihar school tradition back in Bangalore. And as I came here, I started teaching in my community. And I was realizing that I need to learn more and more to address everyone who is coming to my class. So I was going towards the therapy side, even if I didn't even know what that means at some point. And I realized that I was taking one-on-one, I'm addressing their issues, and I could never stop learning. So Dr. Ananda is my mentor in that ways, and a lot of teachers from India. And yeah, this I just realized that whatever I am seeking and learning, if I learn it in a formal setting, that is the masters. So that's where I am right now. So still trying to figure out whether I'll be able to do it, the monetary things, the financial part and all that. So that's why I'm here. And yeah, I'm also passionate about yoga therapy. Right now I work at CSUN as a wellness programs facilitator at the Oasis Wellness Center. So I'm teaching pranayama, meditation, and gentle yoga there.
Oh, lucky people.
Yeah. So that's a beautiful setting to teach, beautiful students. So that's where I'm teaching right now. And yeah, let's see
Excellent.
where the journey takes me.
And were you on screen with Bhavanani this morning?
Yes,
Yeah, very good.
I
very
listen
good.
to them. And I'm also an ambassador for Yoga Gives Back.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, I've been serving them for past 4 years.
Yeah,
So I know Kayoko and Dr. Professor Jaydeva. So
wonderful.
it's all coming together.
All part of the family here. It's so
Yes.
beautiful. Geneva, tell us where you are, your story.
Hi. So I'm in the LA area as well, in Sierra Madre, just outside of Pasadena.
Mhm.
And I would say I'm kind of an infant in my journey. I'm in the middle of a 200-hour training with the Himalayan Institute online.
Oh, yeah.
And just recently had the opportunity to go out and see their location, which was really cool. And then that ends in December. So I'll finish up in December. And then in February, I'm starting another 200-hour training with the Stanford School of Psychology. They have a program that's best, like really focused for healthcare workers. I'm not a healthcare worker. I've been working at Disney as an executive in HR for 22 years. I've been at the company. So I'm much more focused on yoga and wellness and mindfulness within a corporate environment. And for me personally, I'm much more interested in not just the physical part of yoga, but the much larger part that we've been talking about all day today. So I don't know if a program like this will work for me from a timing standpoint. So I'm just learning more and wanted to just be able to hear from everyone on this call and hear from the both of you about what the program really offers. So that's me.
Great. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, Noelle. You're a little bit muted.
Wait, sorry.
There you go.
Okay. I'm Noelle. I'm a nurse. I'm an RN, and I live in the West LA area. I started yoga 8 years ago with Moto Yoga here in Los Angeles, in my area. I really initially was going just to improve my physical condition and mental health, that sort of thing. But I really didn't anticipate to be so drawn to the spiritual side of yoga, and it really changed my life. So I just kept going, and I can't believe it's 8 years later, but I did start a yoga teacher program last year, but it was interrupted, unfortunately. And so I was enrolled for the one through LMU with Tara, but unfortunately that didn't go through. So I'm looking for a program to start right now. I'm probably being a little too picky. I just really would like that program to align with similar thoughts and teachings that LMU seems to offer. So really, as a nurse, I'm really right now planning to go into start to do the yoga therapy specialty. But I'm open to anything else. I feel like my best laid plans, end up leading me where I really needed to go. So so that's about it. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank
Sounds
you.
great.
And did somebody join us? Ram joined us. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, sorry. Let me see. I gotta return.
We're looking at something.
You're looking at my feet for the moment. Let me see if I can figure out. I didn't. I just stepped in. Is that Dr. Chappell?
It is.
Oh wow. Hi, Dr. Chappell.
Oh, good to see you.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we met, but we emailed a few times.
We
about
did, yeah.
the book I was writing. I'm sorry. I'm completely lost. I just jumped in. I'm in the middle of. I'm actually doing teacher training today, and so this is my lunch break. And I know I need to be involved in the yoga therapy community, and I have no idea what's happening. I'm sorry.
Okay, so we'll catch you up. I know you came late, so we're Zooming, talking about the program. I did my story, other people did their story. And the shorthand is that you can drive up from Long Beach, or you can stream like we're doing now, which has its pluses and minuses, both. And regardless, we live stream and we video archive all of our offerings. And it's in the optimal world, 3 semesters of Sanskrit language, including work with the Gita and the Yoga Sutra, 3 semesters of physical aspects of yoga, and 5 to 6 semester courses on philosophy, psychology, spirituality. And then within this, specialization, perhaps in yoga therapy, which you've already indicated an interest, either as an add-on or integrating it throughout your curriculum, as well as doing a weekend certificate in our yoga therapy program. And you can do it fast, you can do it in 2 years, or you could do it slow, like in 3 years.
This is for the master's program, right?
Yeah, for the master's, yeah.
Okay, and there's other specialties, aren't there?
We have certificates in yoga philosophy, in yoga ed, in yoga mindfulness and social change, and in yoga and the health sciences.
Yeah, and so speaking of the health sciences, how is the adoption of yoga therapy with healthcare going?
Well, it's quite fascinating, and if I think you were there when our friend from the Valley, lives in Woodland Hills, teaches wellness at Cal State Northridge. And it's still entrepreneurial, which I think it will remain so, because unlike acupuncture, there really is no concerted drive to a fixed licensure. And both physicians' offices, chiropractic offices, integrative medicine centers are creating yoga as an offering. And many people are doing one-on-one with clients, some externally funded. We train people through, one of their options is the Venice Family Clinic, where they get 6 sessions supervised, working with folks that have no way to pay the money it would normally take in order to receive yoga therapy. And we also have persons that have come through the program that have created sort of a yoga therapeutic mashup at universities and colleges. We've had a number of students do that, as well as go into private practice. Do you want to speak more to that, Amy? Or
Yeah, I like a yoga therapeutic mashup as verbiage. There is the IOIT accrediting body, the International Association of Yoga Therapists. There is a path to get that IOIT accreditation either through the master's program or through the certificate yoga therapy programs. The graduate level, I say, is more robust and really demanding of you. It's a more intensive program, so it kind of depends. It also leans more, we on the graduate side lean into the Eastern applications a lot more than a clinical Western approach. And so both options are available. And my role is to, once you're admitted into the program, to help each student navigate these decisions as they come up. You don't take yoga therapy coursework specifically, kind of that concentration you need to declare in your second year. So we have a whole first year together where you're taking core curriculum to discern, those next steps. So good questions, and we do want to open it up to questions to others. And I saw John and Rachel have since joined. If John, you want to say a quick introduction, and thank you so much. John is muted. I don't know, maybe you logged in and ran to the kitchen. Rachel, are you there and would like to say just a quick where are you and what brings you to this session?
Yeah, hi, I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio. And I tuned into this session because I know it has something to offer. And I'm thankful to be here. Thank you.
Great. Good to hear your voice, Rachel.
Yeah, nice to see you, Chris.
And Kelly is joining. I invite you at this moment, if you can private message me, or if you don't care, you can message everyone your email. I'm trying to record who's here just for our records. That would be wonderful. Kelly, do you want to say a quick intro? Where are you and what brings you? Welcome.
Okay, well, let's open it to general questions. Maybe Amy could give a recap of what's required within the application process.
Sure, yeah. Well, the primary distinction between us and most other yoga therapy programs specifically is that as a graduate PhD preparatory program, a bachelor's degree is required. That's the primary requirement that you have gone through. It doesn't matter so much what it's in. We've had mathematics and, history and all kinds of backgrounds coming through. But we do need to check that box. Otherwise, there is a reading and writing. So you will dive into the Andrea Jane text and be expected to provide a writing sample. I tell students one-on-one when they ask me what we're looking for, I say, use citations. We're mostly just looking to see that you can follow some general academic guidelines in your writing. And then we also ask you for a personal reflection, which is where you get to tell us, or your personal statement, why you're interested in the program, what you want to do in the world after the fact, which we will not hold you to because you will evolve several times over, most likely, as you go through the course. And then that's also an opportunity for you to mention any financial aid need. We can get more into this as you draw nearer to this process, but there are 25% tuition grants available through the university that are based on need. To be eligible for that, all you need to do is complete your FAFSA. And then once you're admitted, I just ask you to opt in or opt out of that opportunity. There are also yoga studies grants and scholarships available. So that personal statement, in addition to doing your FAFSA, you can let us know if your income has changed in the past year and your taxes, FAFSA on and on may not be an accurate reflection. If any extenuating circumstances are going on, you can let us know there.
Yeah, and for those of you that may not know, FAFSA stands for Federal Financial Aid Application.
Yes. Yeah, and there's in lieu of an in-person interview, we ask you to take a video and upload it to YouTube. And we do make it kind of private on YouTube. So there are instructions on how to do that. And I'm also happy to walk you through when the time comes. So because there are several elements to the application, it does take several weeks to complete. You need 2 letters of reference. Often that's what we're waiting on, is the letters of reference. So identifying who those folks are. And the way it works is you put in their email address and they receive a form to upload the letter. So we can't accept letters via email. They need to upload it through the system. So once again, these nuances as you start the process, feel free to reach out to me with questions. You'll need to upload a transcript that will come from your prior university. If your prior university was out of the US, then we may have an additional valuation element, TOEFL, yes, evaluation of your international transcripts. So I can help you in that process. I don't think anybody's international here, but there's an office here at LMU dedicated to that. So they can also help guide you through those additional steps in the visa process. Definitely reach out if you have questions along the way. The instructions are on our website, and I'll try to get that link and throw it into the chat as we're sitting here. Were there any questions regarding the application process or the program in general? Now is the time.
I have a question.
Yes.
Great, Laura.
So you mentioned that for cohort 10, it would require there to be perhaps 20 or 25 people within the program. Does that mean that you won't know a particular start date for the program until that many people have been, or how does that work?
No, it's definitely happening, and it will start the middle 2 weeks of August, and then it will continue through the fall semester. And it's just literally clockwork, and we're completely dialed into the university schedule, with the exception that we do this grand assemblage of people for those 2 weeks together intensively. We implemented 2 days of field trips, and we just had such an incredible time all together. We started out at the Shivananda Yoga Vedanta Center, which is now over in West Adams neighborhood. Spectacular. They took over an old orphanage. And then we went from there to the Arati at the Ishkan Temple, and they gave us lunch. And from there, we went to the Self-Realization Fellowship Shrine and had a guided tour of the SRF from insiders. And from there, we went to the Vedanta Society in Hollywood and shopped the bookstore and heard a talk by Saradesha Prana. And from there, we had an outdoor feast at Mayura. That was only one day. And then the second day, we went up to Meditation Mount, where Mayor Baba taught in Ojai on Sulphur Mountain. And then we went down to Krishnamurti's house, which was absolutely an architectural just a marvel. And from there, we went to Meditation Mount, where Alice Bailey inspired the integrative psychological movement. And from there, we went to the Oak Grove, where Krishnamurti taught. And from there, we went to the Venkateshwara Temple in Malibu, which was closed, but we had fun nonetheless. But it was a grand adventure, and we look forward to repeating it again. And we were all giddy because we hadn't been with people for 18 months too. So
Very true.
and it was all pretty much outdoors, so it was all safe.
Yes, so I didn't mean to say we need to hit a certain number for the cohort. It's more that we've had too many students in the past couple years. And so that is a incentive to apply early. Yeah. Thank you. And I see a few new folks. Maddie, Rick, Edie or Eddie,
Charlotte.
Maddie, if you're there, want to chime in? Where you are joining from and what brings you?
Hi, I'm an LMU student right now. I'm actually volunteering for this event
Oh, Maddie, hi, of course.
Yeah. from Professor Chappell's class, so don't mind me.
Thank
Okay.
you for being here, Maddie.
Cool.
Right.
And Rick. Rick, if you happen to be there and want to share or are able, we welcome it. We'll come back to you, Rick. Edie or Eddie, please correct me, which it is. It's a mystery. Charlotte, are you there? Maybe they're.
I'm
robot-
here.
Okay,
I'm just coming in and getting ready to listen to Phil Goldberg. So
okay, good.
Excellent.
So you're in the right place because that we're broadcasting that from this room at this site. So yeah, that's perfect. And Charlotte and I go way back. Charlotte taught yoga at LMU for 20 years. Now she teaches for the Emeritus College at Santa Monica, and she's such a wonderful person when it comes to all things movement.
Awesome. So for those of us joining for the info session before, we do have about 10 to 15 minutes before Phil Goldberg is in this virtual and physical space. Any other questions regarding the program? I did hear quite a few yoga therapy folks interested. If you're discerning between other programs, happy to answer questions.
Hi, I have a question, Amy.
Yeah.
If we do the IAYT through other schools, does it count as any semester towards the MA?
Unfortunately, no. The way that IOIT works is that each program, similar to Yoga Alliance, certifies as a cohesive curriculum.
Mhm.
So each school gets approved by IOIT for the entirety of their essentially 800-hour program. And
Okay.
so LMU has an approved program. So that is either through Center for Religion and Spirituality, and we have a track through Graduate Yoga Studies where you take the yoga therapy, either the concentration integrated or you take it post-grad after the fact. And then you take 2 certificates through CRS in order to get your IYT. So unfortunately, you can't do half here, half there, although I wish, because that is.
Yeah, the one exception may be that we could sub the certificate if the programming is parallel, or if it's through a university, we're able to sub out and sort of transfer in as many as 6 units. But as far as I've been able to figure out, with the exception of the University of Integrative Health Sciences in Maryland, we're right now, I think, the only university-based degree program.
Okay. Thank you.
And did you say your family's in Bangalore?
We are from Kerala. the
Oh, you're from
southern part.
Kerala, okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
So yeah, my husband's family is living in Bangalore.
okay. My doctoral dissertation advisor was from Kerala, and
Okay.
he made certain that my very first trip to India was directly to Kerala. And this was in 1981.
Okay.
So it was a very different world. It was before modernization. It was before there were traffic lights. It was before flyovers. And
It
as
was
you know, in
before I was
Kerala-
born.
Yeah, before you were born, and it was just so delightful in all ways. And
Wow.
Kerala is so beautiful.
It is.
Bangalore used to be beautiful.
And yeah, it's too crowded now, too much pollution and traffic. That's the reason we just migrated.
Yeah. Yet they say Bangalore became like LA, but
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
We don't miss Bangalore
right,
while
right.
living here.
So any questions from anyone else?
We're good until 1:25 if you want.
Yeah.
Did Lydia share? All right. If there are no other questions.
Make sure you get their email.
Yes, I got everybody's email who put it in the chat. If you have not done so, please do so. I'm mainly just checking you off on a spreadsheet so we know you attended. Nothing much more.
Yeah, and if you're okay with it, we'll put you on our newsletter list. And we have, for instance, a couple lectures coming up that you could zoom into. One of them by Stuart Sarbacher, professor at Oregon State. And he just this year published a book tracing the thread of yoga that is sublime, superb, comprehensive, and it's the textbook for the Foundations of Yoga course, which is our entry-level course. So if you're able to tune in at the end of the month to his Wednesday night lecture, you'll get a preview of should you join the program in August.
Yeah, so for those of you hopefully looking forward to joining us, cohort 10, you should bear in mind and get excited already for that Foundations intensive course that Dr. Chappell outlined. So that's 2 weeks that we all spend together and you write your first paper and learn research methods. This year it was Dr. T. Meyer, who's just an amazing resource, as well as the weekend adventures that we go on together. We go to Benedict Canyon and do meditation retreats on Fridays a couple times a semester. And just to speak to the community aspect, as an alum myself, I moved away from LA, did my own thing in yoga world, and then found myself wanting to come back because there is no community like, really, I'm biased, but the the LMU yoga studies community, but really it's just a group of like-minded and also dis-minded, not like-minded people. We all come together. We're all kind of on this journey, and it's a transformative experience. It's an immersive experience, and no one outside of this community really understands what it is that you navigate through personally and professionally. So it's really quite an experience. We say, not that I've lived on an ashram, but I imagine it's akin to that immersive aspect where you're really living and breathing it and being challenged to apply every aspect as much as you're able in your daily life and living the yoga. So more so than any asana training that might be out there in the world, this is really something different. And so I just thank you for being in shared space. I invite as many questions as you would like to send via email and or jump on the phone or Zoom with me now or in the future. And I hope that we'll be welcoming some or many or all of you into our cohort 10 in the fall.
Ditto. Thank you.
Stay on for Phil Goldberg. He was actually part of the History of Modern Yoga curriculum when I was in the master's. I have 2 copies of his book, American Veda, and I include it in the 300-hour training that I now teach. So please stay, enjoy the rest of Yoga Day. Reverend Lawson is going to be amazing right around the corner at 3 o'clock, and don't hesitate to reach out. And I look forward to connecting with you all.
Thank you, Amy.